what's the difference between Hunter Biden and Bobby Kennedy? Hunter Biden never got sober. Bobby Kennedy's been sober for 40 years.
And stood on his own 2 feet.
Yeah, he was a heroin addict, for 14 years.
Yeah,
and he owns that.
Oh, yeah.
No one's going to be able to throw that at him and use that against him because he owned it. He's been sober a long, long time. And he's got all his marbles, clearly he's
a sharp dude.
All right.
He's a sharp dude. So what year did you meet him? How did you come to meet RFK Jr.?
I met Bobby in 2007 when he visited Texas, and we started a correspondence, and of course he frequently would go on speaking tours. So he would come to Texas and Oklahoma fairly often. I would meet up with him in various cities, Austin, Dallas, Houston, Oklahoma City. And every time I came with that petition, we had a petition drive to draft Kennedy for president, and that just kept gaining signatures. So the petition would get longer and longer and longer. And every time I'd see him, I'd bring him that petition and just shove it in his face and say, look, we're serious. We're not joking. This isn't an internet. We didn't even have memes back then. So it's not a meme. It's for real. Body. This is a real petition. These are real people who really want you to run for president. And we talked about it. Of course, his primary concern was his children. Yeah. Because he didn't want to be an absentee dad. He wanted to be there as a father for his children. And God forbid, had the worst happened, his kids would have grown up the same way he grew up. And he's got 6 kids. So it was important.
Bobby the third, is that his oldest son, his oldest kid, who's married to Amaryllis there, the former CIA officer that some people get their panties in a bunch over. I say, look, John Kiriakou is a friend of mine. I've hung out with him. I've known him for years.
John's a good man.
And he's a good man. He's a patriotic American. He's a good man. He worked for the CIA for 14 years. There's good people who work in intelligence.
And look what they did to him for telling the truth.
Right.
He served 3 years in federal prison.
Yeah. He went away and he wrote his book there, Doing Time Like a Spy. Yeah. And I've had him on the podcast a couple times, and I've had dinners with him. And he's just a cool guy. If I have a question about something or I have a thought, like when what's that one of the Al Qaeda dudes was captured or said to have been killed in Pakistan last year. Was that Marwan al-Shehi or no? That was one of the hijackers.
I cannot think of his name. We covered it on Maverick News the day it happened, and now I'm having
al-Zawahiri.
Al-Zawahiri, I believe. Yeah.
Al-Zawahiri. So initially there was like a bounty on that dude's head, like the State Department had a
time,
$1 million,
20 years,
something like that. So I would text John and be like, John, let's get a team together and go find him. We can get that 10 million, man. I want that money. So when the day they announced that he got killed, I texted him. I was like, holy shit, man, someone just made some money, or they took his body off of ice and brought it out and said, oh, look, we got him. We killed him. And we don't really know. Yeah.
Didn't we kill him 2 or 3 times?
Well, he's the guy who died a bunch of times. We don't know the truth of that stuff.
You only die twice.
Yeah. But
it's a new Bond film.
Right. Exactly. But my point is, this idea that every person who's worked in intelligence or for the CIA, they're just all evil, horrible people who hate us, is not true. And Ray McGovern
they work for what I consider to be an evil organization.
Well, that's the next part is the agenda that they serve and the policy that is crafted around keeping that beast alive is the rub and where the problem is.
That's right.
So Bobby's talking about doing something about that.
Yeah, but what? That's a tough question. And
you're not going to go in there. Yeah, you're not going to go in there and snap your fingers and get rid of the national security state.
Well, and this is a point, I don't agree with Bobby on everything. Obviously I'm very happy that he's in the race. I support him 100%, but you're not going to agree 100%, 100% of the time with everyone. And I do disagree with him when he says that he believes he can reform the CIA, that he can restructure the CIA and take it back to the original idea, which was just to collect intelligence, to do intelligence gathering. And You know, his uncle, John F. Kennedy, had a similar notion after the Bay of Pigs. Now, his first instinct, you know what they say, Eric, always trust your first instinct because it's always the right one. When you start overthinking things, that's when you make an error. After the Bay of Pigs, Kennedy's first instinct was to smash the CIA into 1,000 pieces and scatter it to the four winds.
Right.
I wish he would have listened to his gut and done just that, but somebody talked him out of it. And so he thought, well, maybe I can fix the CIA if I just fire this guy, and this guy, right? So he gets rid of Allen Dulles,
Cabell,
Richard Bissell,
Bissell.
and Earl Cabell. Charles Cabell, sorry.
Earl was the mayor of Dallas, who
Earl
was
was the mayor of Dallas.
strategically placed in Dallas.
And we didn't find out
That came out
until
with the
2017
Yep,
that Earl
Trump's
Cabell was a CIA agent himself.
guy. Yep,
Yeah.
Trump's like, at long last, the Kennedy files. And Earl Cabell, Chunky Soup, was an asset. He was. He was an asset, Lori. But yeah, I mean, exactly. Reforming the CIA, getting rid of the CIA. I mean, how does that even work? Because their tentacles are in everything.
Yep.
And they've become this Frankenstein and this thing that your average person, and even someone like me who's read deeply into them, can't even really grasp or comprehend how deep and far-reaching they are into things. And
Right.
into the things we won't even know about until years and years later if someone slips up or something gets out.
Well, you know, when Kennedy didn't get rid of the CIA during his presidency, it's what cost him his life, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Of course, they knew he was not their friend, and they turned their guns on him and then his brother. So when Bobby says he thinks he can fix it, I'm thinking, no, dude, the only way to fix it is to abolish the CIA. But then people say, oh, wait, what would we do without a CIA? Because somebody has to gather intelligence. And I'm like, well, how do you think we managed to survive as a country prior to 1947? We won 2 world wars without a CIA. And you know, the CIA has stirred up every war since 1947. And how did we do in those wars? We lost them based on faulty intelligence from the CIA. So the way we did it, and Ron Paul, my guy, Ron Paul, I'm a Ron Paul libertarian. Ron Paul has literally been saying for more than 40 years that we should abolish the CIA and go back to the way that we gathered intelligence prior to 1947, which was military intelligence. You had Army, you had Navy, you had, plenty of intelligence gathering apparatus within the military framework.
Someone out to the mob too. That's what the OSS did. They worked a lot with the mob.
That's the CIA.
That's who exactly. They're interchangeable. I mean, Bobby said that in the interview. He said, I don't know that my father fully grasped how in concert the CIA and the mafia were, and how they are
until it was too late.
But yeah, I mean, Truman wrote that letter just after JFK got killed about our intelligence agencies and how out of control he felt they got. It's a funny CIA stands for Cocaine Import Agency. That's a good acronym.
A lot of truth in that.
Yeah, Barry Seal. We would talk to Barry Seal, but he's quite unreachable right now, Lori, where he is.
Unavailable for comment.
He had a very tough time, and when they found him, he had Poppy Bush's personal number on him. Think about that.
Man.
But I think, it's not such a far stretch for a lot of people now to understand what our intelligence agencies do, and how black operations are funded. And drugs don't just come into our country through the border. And you have this cartoon image in your mind of El Chapo with a bunch of coyotes and just schlepping it over the border. It's a lot bigger than that.
Well, and the CIA isn't supposed to operate on American soil at all, and yet we know they do. Yeah. We know that they interfere with our elections. We know that they have plenty of assets inside our mainstream media, controlling the media narrative that we see. And the way I look at it, this is my personal opinion as someone who's worked in the media for 35 years, is that it's a psyop. It's a continuation of MK Ultra without the LSD,
Yeah.
but they use the television, the media, the
Oh,
narrative
awfully
control
weird.
to confuse us,
Yeah.
right? To keep us so
Well, they,
confused that everyone's gone nuts.
yeah. Well, we have been planted in us from the moment we're born. We're in front of a screen,
Mhm.
and when you dig into that a little bit, my buddy Sean Stone, Oliver's son, I've
Mhm.
had him on the show a couple times.
Sean's cool.
Yeah, during his time at RT, he produced a banger of a documentary about the intelligence inside
Yes.
of Hollywood and the
Yeah.
media, and how they influence these movies, and how Zero Dark 30 is essentially a Langley production.
That's
And
right.
Catherine Bigelow does the bidding of the seventh floor at Langley.
Yep.
And you want to get access to these military hardware and all this stuff for your movies. Well, you're going to put this in your movie, and this guy's going to consult on the script with you. And movies like The Farm with Al Pacino, that's what they sell to us.
Mhm.
They sell that to us, and then that becomes our reality. Jason Bourne, that becomes our reality, when the reality of it is is dark.
His
Really.
father taught him well, didn't he? Oliver taught him very well.
Yes. Yeah.
There's actually, speaking of Hollywood, occasionally a good movie manages to slip through the cracks. It's very rare that Hollywood actually does a truthful film about the intelligence community, but there's a film that was made back in 1997 by Mel Gibson. And if you haven't seen it, no matter what you think of Mel Gibson, I hope that everyone will go watch it. It's called Conspiracy Theory, and it's a brilliant, brilliant film. There's so much truth in that film.
Richard Donner.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. It was Richard Donner.
I'm a
Yeah.
big fan of that movie. Patrick
Mhm.
Stewart's in it, Julia
Yeah.
Roberts.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
you watch that movie, and if you have some foundational knowledge and research about mind control and the nature of the media and the you're like, whoa, they did get some shit in here. They got some stuff in
Yeah.
here for
And of
sure.
course, they had to make the protagonist, Jerry, Mel Gibson's character, look crazy. Woohoo.
Oh yeah,
He's
you get a
nuts. He's crazy.
total
But by
nut
the
bar.
end of the movie, you realize he was right all along and he wasn't
Yeah.
crazy.
No, yeah, no, but we're firmly team Mel. Mel Gibson he's a base lord. He's been inside the belly of the beast,
That's right.
and yeah, he's running into some turbulence. He had some turbulence in his career. Did he get drunk on tequila on the highway coast there and go off on the Jewish people? Yeah, he did do that. And he apologized for that. He
Well,
felt
he
bad.
learned a lot from his father, which wasn't necessarily good.
Oh yeah,
some of
wasn't
that.
his father like the fire and brimstone Catholic offshoot?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's right.
yeah,
They don't believe in Vatican II and all that.
yeah. They're
But they're welcome to their beliefs. We
well.
have
That's
freedom of
it.
speech and freedom of religion in America.
Exactly. It doesn't take away from the fact that he's Braveheart, that he's William
Mhm.
Wallace,
One of the
that
greatest actors of
that
our
he's
time.
Riggs in all 4 Lethal Weapons, and possibly a 5th one that he'll direct. Hopefully,
Did the
God
greatest
Allah
Hamlet
willing.
I've ever seen too.
Oh, Hamlet. That was a total banger in Hamlet.
Well,
And
I think of Bobby Kennedy oftentimes as Hamlet, don't you?
yeah, that's actually that's scary. That's a scary parallel.
It is. But there are
Jeez.
parallels, no doubt.
Yeah. Yeah, we did Hamlet in high school. I played the Gravedigger. It was one of my favorite productions.
I love him. Love Shakespeare. Read a lot of Shakespeare.
Well, yeah, Gibson's going to rattle cages again with the Resurrection of the Christ with Jim Caviezel, and I'm a huge Jim Caviezel fan. He waded into the QAnon waters. He definitely did, and you know what? That's his right. That's his right to do that if he wants to.
That's right. That's one of the things that Kennedy says, and he can't say it loud enough for me, is that it's okay. The First Amendment protects misinformation and disinformation and malinformation, all those things the government is trying to outlaw and remove from the internet. What the government tells you is misinformation, even if it's wrong, even if it's factually inaccurate.
We're adults here. We have brains. We can use discernment. I can hear horrible things. It's okay. It's not going to hurt my feelings.
Right there is the whole point of the lawsuit that Bobby's bringing against the Biden administration right now. And he's suing 106 people in the Biden administration. He's suing the FBI. He's suing the DHS. He's suing agencies and individuals,
Pretty based.
including President Biden. And the point that he's making is the First Amendment rights of every American have been violated, not just in what we are not allowed to say, but what the American people are not being allowed to hear or to read. Not only does the First Amendment protect our right to speak false information, perhaps, or wrong information, but also to receive whatever the hell we want. If you want to listen to Alex Jones, you should have the right to listen to Alex Jones wherever you want to listen.
Yeah.
That should be your right. The government doesn't
society.
define reality for us.
Right.
That's draconian. I said last night that I said in a tweet that we live in Nazi Germany, and it's not an exaggeration to say that. Now, we're not in 1945 Nazi Germany yet, where they're killing millions of people.
So you're saying we're Weimar right now?
We are in 1936 Nazi Germany.
Oh, okay. So we're past Weimar.
We're past Weimar. We're well on the road to hell.
Weimar, Volkswagen. I'm saying it. I love the Autobahn. The Autobahn is so well built, Lori. They were under budget and ahead of schedule with the Autobahn. Okay, they did an incredible job. All those German engineers, they're great guys. That's why we did the paperclip. We brought them over on the paperclip Mayflower. Okay, they were on the Mayflower paperclip, and then they built the rocket V2. Werner von Braun did a great job. He did, quite frankly, did a great job. Great guy. Very good friend of my family's. Very good friend of the Trumps.
Oh, gosh. I'm trying so hard to be serious, and I can't with you.